What's up? What's up, everyone? It is Wednesday, July 16th, and I'm gonna break down how this week has been going. I hope you guys are well. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Join the Discord. My link is in the bio, completely free. I share on a weekly basis, sometimes even daily basis, my trading ideas. And right now I'm being consistently profitable, so I want to just make sure that you guys are aware of that. And then feel free to join if you're interested. If not, completely fine. So let's get into how this week is going. Was honestly going good. And then ever since the US dollar started falling short, it's almost like it affected all the other markets, but not the end of the world. Looks like my camera froze. I don't know why it keeps freezing. But yeah, I'm gonna read you guys a quote by Mark Douglas, the disciplined trader. He says, "Learning to drive is an excellent example that illustrates how fear narrows our focus of attention." So with that quote being said, I would definitely agree with that. I think whatever you focus on, you attract. So if you focus on, your trade hitting stop loss and whatnot, and you're not really looking for opportunities, you're more so focused on, your stop loss being hit, then most likely, most of the times your stop loss will be hit. That's just the way that I look at things, which aligns with this quote that he shared in the Disciplined Trader. So I think you should start looking for opportunities, start looking for better risk to rewards. Because when I, excuse me, when I started looking for better risk to rewards than what I was looking for before, I actually got into opportunities that played out with better risk to rewards. So I think this definitely aligns with this quote right here. I want to share with you guys, yeah, I want to share with you guys how this week is playing out. Not as I expected. Um, yeah, definitely not what I expected, but I mean it's fine. I believe there's still gonna be more opportunities for the week, and I will show you guys now. So first off, there's two AUD CAD pairs that I was looking at, like actually focused on this week, which were AUD CAD and GBP AUD. So this position right here, I was thinking about taking, but I actually seen that price had came into this imbalance and started dropping around Asian session yesterday. So I figured maybe if I were to take it right here, honestly, it would be about a 1 to 2, which I'm not really interested in. Then I looked at AUD CAD and it looks like this might play out. Um, Honestly, even if it does play out right now, just for the fact that I seen GBP AUD not play out and hit stop loss, which I did not enter, but just from seeing this, AUD pair going back to going bullish, I think that once this goes bullish, I think that another AUD cat or another AUD pair might go, bearish, just because the AUD, the Australian dollar might be losing, value, which might not losing value. Yeah, losing value, which means if the AUD dollar loses value on a different pair, there's a possibility that um the Canadian dollar against the Australian dollar would go bearish, meaning the Canadian dollar would be more stronger, right? There's more people in the market for Canadian dollar than the Australian dollar. So I'm gonna just uncheck all of these colors here so that we can just reassess the week. Throughout the week, you could imagine like the amount of green I was seeing on the screen, and then boom, literally in just a couple, I would say maybe an hour, everything started just turning on me. But thanks to proper risk management, we're not blowing accounts anymore as we were before. So let's start from scratch. If we start from scratch, we'll erase everything on gold and reassess how gold looks. I'm also going to delete this alert right here, and let's start from scratch. So if we look at the daily time frame, a bit choppy. Excuse me. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this alert right here. And then we're gonna look at the 4 hour time frame. So 4 hour time frame still indicates XYZ. If we were still remaining in here, yeah, we're just gonna put this to down here and make that red. It's just not clear. AUD CAD actually might still play out, honestly, because if you look at the structure, it's still respecting I mean it's still respecting this low right here that was created. So this still might play out, but I ended up exiting just because of, you know, it's also like filling in this like 30-minute wick, which I mean it's not a terrible idea because if you look at the 5 minute time frame, 5 minute time frame does indicate that there is a 5 minute imbalance which was never filled. So, I mean, that's great, but if this plays out, it's just really going to be a learning curve for me, which is fine. I mean, I'm open to that. I'm open to learning curves. Honestly, this does seem like a good area to buy from around this 5 minute imbalance and with higher time frame breaking structure. Like if you look at higher time frame, you can see that higher time frame did shift in structure. 30 minute, but not on the 1 hour. Like 30 minute time frame structure shifted, but 1 hour time frame structure did not shift. So, and then if you look on the 4 hour time frame, it definitely looks like 4 hour time frame indicates more selling pressure than buying pressure. And to fill in a wick and then go up, it just really doesn't, make too much sense. Especially if you look at this 4 hour right here, the 4 hour time frame doesn't even create a wick. It literally just pushed up. Don't get me wrong though, I did take about like I had to reconsider this trade so many times. I probably re-entered like 3 times, which definitely goes against my trading rules. Um, so that's something that I'm acknowledging, which is why I'm stepping away from this trade regardless. Because I've already, went over the threshold of how many times I'd re-enter this trade. Um, Clearly that indicates that I'm not confident in the trade. If I'm not confident in the trade, high probability that the trade is most likely not going to play out. And there's also a high probability that I will continue to keep on re-entering and re-entering and re-entering, trying to convince myself that the trade or the opportunity may go in my favor. But most of the times when I have to keep on reassessing and reassessing and re-entering a trade, most of the times it just doesn't play out in my favor. So um I'm just gonna stick to what I think right now. And what I think right now is I think that price is no longer going to respect that area of interest that I marked off. So I think price on the Australian dollar versus Canadian dollar might fall short, dropping in this area of interest right here. And then I think we'll push up from here. Um, that might have just been, you know, an area where, I mean, maybe it was just a good amount of buyers in that area. I mean, that's what it seems like. So I'm gonna make this green. I'm gonna go back to here, delete there, come back here, re-add that so that we start off fresh. Next, we're gonna look at removing these drawings here. This is the GBP AUD. So I'm looking at price still, I would say price shifted from okay, so daily low, I would say the daily low is here. Price never shifted or price never closed below. I would suggest, or in my opinion, it looks like if price closes on the 4 hour time frame, uh, looks like right now bullish. So I would expect a retracement from at least hair to hair. And then what are we looking for? We're obviously looking for price to come down to this area of interest at least for us to consider a buy opportunity, which goes against the Australian dollar, right? It goes against the Australian dollar. This is most likely though going to be a higher, um, what do you call it? This is most likely going to be a higher risk to reward because we're looking at this high being taken out, GBP, so the British Pound dollar being in higher power than the Australian dollar. So I'm gonna have to, I mean, AUD, Australian dollar. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to reconsider whether it really depends also to like which one hits first. But I would have to pick if they're playing out the same time, I'm gonna have to choose and define which one I'd rather take, which one looks like a cleaner setup. Because if I'm going for a buy on the Australian dollar, but then I'm going for a buy on the Great British Pound, then that would interfere with me thinking, the Australian dollar is going up in value, but then I'm betting against the Australian dollar for, Great British Pound. Like I've messed up in the past, so I just want to preframe that so that it helps with anybody else that's struggling with, going into different pairs that clash with, you know, other opportunities, if that makes sense. So this is GBP CAD. Let me see. I'm gonna delete this stuff. All right, it looks to me that this is still bearish. Yeah, so this is still bearish. 4 hour time frame is also bearish, but it looks not so clean. I'll keep this red. Definitely not interested right now. I was in this NAS 100 trade, but obviously it ended up not playing out in my favor, wicking us out, and I'm no longer interested. Thank you, NAS. Next, we've got Euro AUD. So since we've got Euro AUD, we're looking at, let's look at the daily. So the daily is indicating that we are bearish. If the Euro AUD is indicating that we're bearish from the daily perspective, and the 4 hour time frame is indicating that we're bearish, I would assume that once we get to this price or this price, we should. Honestly, I'm gonna delete this one just because even if we took a trade right here around this area, we're most likely not gonna get, a solid risk to reward. So I'm gonna keep my expectation for price around this area of interest, and we'll see what price does. I'll tag this as green, and then I'm gonna move this to A plus plus setup because of the risk to reward or potential risk to reward. Then we've got a shift on, okay, this is not a valid 4 hour shift, not yet, but from the daily perspective, we're definitely bullish. This just doesn't seem ready as of yet, and I just don't really see much value in trading this right now. I might look back at these pairs maybe this evening, but right now it just doesn't look clear to me. I try to just spend like literally 60 seconds while marking up, and if I have to spend more time on it, then it's probably not worth looking at. We've got daily time frame indicating bullish momentum on this pair, and it seems like the what do you call it? Seems like CAD JPY is bearish now because if you look at the 4 hour time frame, 4 hour time frame has shifted to from bullish to bearish. And if we're shifting from bullish to bearish, and then let's say we look at the 4 hour time frame, it's like there's a reason to come down to at least this area, possibly, but there's also a reason to come into this area because there's like, huge imbalance. So pretty much if we look at, let's say we look at higher, say we look around here. If we look at here, we can see that there's like 15-minute imbalance up here. I would say I would want price to push up here, and if it does, this is an A plus plus setup. Oh, A plus plus setup. Targeting around this area right here. So I'm gonna make this green, and after I make it green, I'm gonna add this to here. Then we've got NZDJPY. If we can look at the daily time frame indicates bullish momentum. 4-hour time frame indicates not yet bearish momentum. Honestly, I think the Japanese yen is looking bullish. So if the next 4-hour time frame closes here, then below this wick, then I would definitely be an advocate of shorting pairs that are going against the Japanese dollar because it's indicating bearish momentum. So I'm not gonna exclude these for any reason. I'll keep it as red just because it's still 4-hour time frame still has to indicate bearish momentum to start shorting these type of pairs or looking for shorts at least on those type of pairs. This is JPY. So daily is indicating bullish momentum. Bearish is indicating yeah, this definitely went from 4-hour time frame being bullish to now going bearish. If we look at the daily time frame and let's say we go to the weekly, we can see that a good area to possibly target if we short, go for external to internal would be around this level, this 50% area right here. Um, so let's see. If we do this, 4-hour time frame has shifted, then we're gonna want to boom. And then let's say we go to the 30-minute, we can see there's imbalance above these wicks right here. So I would just set an alert for price around here. I would consider this not an A plus plus trade setup, but I think it's still something worth looking at because the risk to reward on this could definitely be um, a solid play. I would definitely say this is a solid play. And even if you don't hold from, around this area to the mid range of the weekly, going from external to internal, and maybe you want to hold it longer, I would say a good point of interest to hold this at would be from here all the way down to here. See, there's imbalance left over around here too. So that just gives price a reason to start falling short. Next is GBP So we're on the daily time frame and we're looking for, yeah, so daily time frames indicating that we are currently looking at shorts on the daily time frame. 4-hour time frame indicates uh right, this one seems kind of sketch. So I'm gonna put this here. Man, US 30 could have still been in US 30. Because remember, we caught a sell from up here. I low key figured price is gonna just continue dropping. But I wasn't for, the volatility, so I just ended up staying out essentially. All right, so when did this created structure, 4-hour structure down here? When that happened, when did the 15-minute time frame? Like it already took us Let me see on the 15-minute time frame. Yeah, I can't even enter this because this would go against my trading plan. It's already hit the price point where I'd want to take profits. This is red. Like I've took L's trading something like that before, so I personally have my own way of how I would trade certain things. Daily's bullish, 4 hour is also bullish, and 30-minute time frame. I would honestly say 15-minute time frame. Man, the way that this came and wicked people out right here is crazy. Honestly, I would definitely say that if price came around and dropped, I'm gonna say I'd take this right here, point it out here, and look at the 30, 15-minute, probably put something right here. By all means, though, this would not be a A++ setup, but however, I'd still look at the risk to reward to see how that looks. Targeting here. This is like a standard B plus setup. See what price does in that range. GBP looks like consolidation. 4 hour time frame is now, what is it? Looks confusing, honestly. I want it to come out of this consolidation. Dollar. Okay, so this is a low, this is a high. So if this is a low and this is a daily high, still want the 4 hour time frame to go bullish, but price would literally have to close above here or drop lower and shift. Yeah, price would have to close above here. Not ready. I'm gonna make this red, drop it down here, DXY. If you look at the DXY, you can see the dollar. This is what obviously tracks the dollar, the US dollar. So if you look, you can see that this was a high and this was a low. And then once price came into that level, you can see that, well, I mean, the 4 hour time frame though technically is still bullish. So this doesn't necessarily mean that the US dollar is collapsing because price can still trade up. Price can literally still create newer highs. So there's a possibility that the US dollar is actually going up in value. Um, we just have to wait and see, honestly. Literally just have to wait and see. Next is USDCHF. USDCHF is well, if price closes from here, that would mean that we went from bullish to bearish. Now, if we go from bullish to bearish, we look at the daily time frame, we're in a downtrend. If we're in a downtrend, oh, all right. So look from here to here, right? This is the lowest low. This is the daily lowest, the lowest daily low. If price on the higher time frame shifts from 4 hour time frame bullish to 4 hour time frame bearish, then we would obviously look for a retracement. If we're looking for a retracement, our retracement would be above these highs, and then we would target looking for price to create a new lower low. But I don't, maybe like, see, the thing is, you would have to, I mean, not have to, but I would confirm before entering this trade, I would confirm that DXY is still going bearish. Because if US dollar, the DXY is still going bearish, then that would mean USD CHF should most likely go bearish. Because obviously, when the DXY indicates bearish momentum, that means the US dollar is falling, which means the Swiss francs could possibly, could possibly be overpowering the US dollar. I would consider this something to look at, so I made it green. It's not an A++ setup just because it's a US dollar, and we still need a little bit more extra confirmation. Now, for the Euro USD, honestly, the thing is, these US dollar pairs, these USD pairs, they're not confirming, heavily confirming that the US dollar is getting weaker. The thing is, they're wicking, but they're not breaking structure, which could possibly mean that the US dollar is actually getting stronger. So I wouldn't be surprised if the US dollar gets stronger. There is still some more confirmation for us to understand whether or not we should start looking at either shorting or buying against the US dollar. What is this right here? Okay, this is GBP USD. GBP USD, the daily time frame is bullish, the 4-hour time frame is bearish. For us to understand whether we should buy this pair, price has to close above here. And from now until then, I'm gonna keep this green just because if this actually happens, we can actually see a good risk to reward, good return on investment. Daily time frame, we're at USD JPY. We can see that this is a new high on the daily time frame. Now, for the 4-hour time frame, we can virtually see that we're about to go bearish if this closes below. So that is what we are looking at right now. Let's see. I mean, if this does happen, then daily time frame, we can say maybe 50%, which shows this right here, and then probably a retracement of imbalance around here on the 30-minute, potentially shorting around this area. I'm just thinking ahead on if this 4-hour time frame closes this way, we'd probably target somewhere around here or maybe even around here. TP1 would be around here. Green, but not an A++ setup because it's external to internal. So for this would have honestly been a really good return on investment, but I guess I just didn't see this one coming. Because 4-hour did, I mean, I did see this, but then again, yeah, the setup for this one doesn't seem appealing. Need the 4-hour to shift back to bullish, but let's see what happens. Red. And USD CAD. So USD CAD is bullish. Now that USD CAD is bullish on the daily, 4-hour time frame is also bullish. Red. All right, so we've got red, we've got green, and we currently have no yellows. Yellow just means active positions. I'm not in any active positions. So far this week, I'll show you guys my TradeZella so that you guys have an understanding of how that looks. This is the first account, so you can see first account, which is what I'm turning $160 into $1,000. We can clearly see that this week has not been in our favor. Has not been in our favor. Other account, the one that I made a deposit of 975 in. We're down 100 and is it 100? 120? Let me just confirm. Mm, 120. I mean, it kind of sounds realistic. My trade locker account indicates 98, negative 98. It could be negative 120. I'm not really too sure, but not bad. Honestly, not bad. Not bad. And I can also show you guys, I'll show you guys the trade locker account just to match everything up. Could be worse. Could be worse. Perfect. So we've got the 160 to $1,000 account right here. Closed positions. This week, negative $9.28. Literally not bad. We were up over $100. Equity surpassed 500 literally yesterday, but literally, there's nothing more I can really say. Um, the potential reward though that we had was crazy return on investment. And here we have $975 account, which is the second account. That's now at 1687 because of the wins that we had back to back 2 weeks in a row. But this week so far we're down negative $98. Also not bad. Also not bad. So this week negative $98. Could be worse, right? Could be worse, could be better. But that's pretty much my markup for the rest of the week. Um, Remember to stay dangerous in these markets, but also stay careful because right now the US dollar, I'm still trying to figure out what's happening. Um, and I can imagine how many other people are wondering what's going on, if we should start looking for, buying or selling against it. Um, yeah, but that's pretty much it. It's really what I wanted to update you guys is how the week's going and how this week I literally went from being in profit to now being in the negative. So that sums everything up. Like, comment, subscribe, join the free Discord if you guys are interested in, you know, uh, reviewing my trades or trade ideas for the week. And I also, in my free Discord, share with you guys exactly when I am getting in or getting out of the markets. Thanks for watching, and I will update you guys at the end of the week.